April 19th, 11:21 a.m., District Court, Division Lobby Number 2. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. We are here in the courtroom, or rather the defendant lobby, having gone on a little bit of a break. Let's see here. I can't even remember what we did last time. It's only been about 20 minutes since the last recorded, but let's just keep going. Very impressive, Mr. Wright. I have to say, I expected nothing less. We've only just begun. I was hoping you could tell me a bit more about what happened, actually. Well, that's why I do some kind of pistol that was shot into the forehead of a clown doll. I did not think you would believe me if I told you. Better that you discovered the truth for yourself. I was thinking of you, you know. I think we need less thinking and more talking. The night in the hospital, what really happened? Oh, the way your eyes gleam, Mr. Wright. You'll scare Miss Trucy. Speaking of which, where was she? You have seen the problem yourself. The letter. The one shot in the forehead. The one shot in the forehead. One, right? Yes, and the reason he speaks of. I could not deny my mentor's wishes, even if it meant my own death. Why not? This is something I will not say, for now at least. What's this for now business? I have done many things in my life, some well, some poorly. But this is the cost we must bear alone to our graves. We? You wanted to know about the night of the incident? Finally, this guy sure likes to take his time getting to the important stuff. Of course, I ain't no intention of shooting my mentor. I snuck into his room that night as the appointed time, and found there upon his bedside table 2 pistols. 2? Yes, the one I had used on stage, and the one that had been used by my partner, Valiant. Oh, for the Zack and Valiant quick draw thing? My mentor had the look of one sleeping. I stood by his bedside, hearing only the light sound of his breathing. Then I took the pistol into my hand. I cannot deny that my resolve faltered then, for a moment. You faltered? You mean you thought about shooting him? Recall there was a reason I could not refuse his request. His last such request, though not his first. So, there were other requests you couldn't refuse before? To be honest, I've not always been steadfast, and I fear I brought pain upon Trucy. Was Magnified coercing his disciples somehow? This is what was going on in Troop Grammary. Yet, in the end, I did not shoot him. Instead, I turned and shot the clown. I took the pistol I had fired and placed it in my pocket. In your pocket? I believe if you examine the bullet in the clown's head, you will find it to be different than the one in my mentor. What were those called? Rifling marks? Yes. Well, that is all I have to tell you concerning the case. Concerning the case? You mean there's something else you can tell me? Ha ha ha! You are a fascinating man, Mr. Wright. Thanks? Yes, there was something. My mentor, his eyes opened. What? Magnified Grammary? The old devil. He was not asleep, you see. Of course, the gunshot would have woken him up. Would have woken him anyway. And there we had our last discussion as mentor and pupil. It was not a long discussion, maybe 5-10 minutes or so. What did you talk about? Haha, Mr. Wright, did I not just tell you? It does not concern this case. Zack Grammary, he seems pretty steadfast to me, or maybe he's just stubborn. Mr. Wright, your presence is requested in the courtroom. Once again, I am in your hands. Right, let's get back in there. April 19th, 11:37 a.m., District Court, Courtroom Number 7. Court is now back in session. During our recess, a bullet was found in and dug out from the clown's head. Well, this is news. And the rifling marks? There wasn't time to do a detailed analysis, though they did find the weapon type matches the murder weapon. Well, that's not very conclusive, is it? Which is why I'm about to call my very decisive witness. Your decisive witness? How many times have I heard that with those words? Though they often turn out to be far less decisive than you think. Oh, don't worry on my account. I'm quite confident this witness will do the job. After all, he is intimately acquainted with the players and our little production, being the other half of Troop Gramarye's famous duo, Zack and Valent. Valent Gramarye. So, we can meet the great Magnify's other disciple. Ooh. No mustache, huh? Perhaps we'll start by asking your name and occupation. Valent Gramarye. Magician. And you're the decisive witness, are you? You can prove your fellow student, your partner's guilt? Fate. The grand illusion. Filled with traps and tricks. Wait. The shooting took place in the hospital after 11 o'clock at night. If you are a witness, does that mean you were there at that late? And one would deduce this logically. The conclusion is, yes. Excuse me. Okay. I always get the characters, don't I? I have an interesting fact for you. You see, several days before the crime, my witness received this. That looks very familiar. Oh, wait. That's the same letter Zack Gramarye received. Yes, or perhaps I should say, ta-da! There's hair. Order, order, order. And what does it say? Surely not the same thing. Perhaps you should see for yourself. 1120. Why, it's practically the same. The court accepts this into evidence. Magnify's second letter added to the court record. Letter telling Valent to come at 11:20 p.m. This is most unusual. Exactly what was going on with you folks? What exactly was your Troop Gramarye up to? What you mean? I'm just having trouble envisioning a man who would ask his students to kill him. Both of them, no less. It's just my opinion, Air Judge. But from these letters, I'd say he was coercing them, not asking them. We walked the magician's path together, and in so doing, shared much of our lives. When people are so close, there is strain, a warping of relations, you might say. Yet this has nothing to do with the case at hand. But what you mean you're not going to tell us? Which makes me wonder even more about this reason they couldn't refuse. Well, let's get on with the testimony for starters. The defendant, Zack Gramarye, stands accused. Tell us why. Oh, I'll do more than that. For where he walks, the red roses rise singing hymns to the miracle of that is magic. Fascinating, though I hardly need to remind you that the evidence could just as clearly point to you as the suspect. The letter, the murder weapon, and now the 2 bullets found in the scene. In fact, the only difference seems to be the designated time. As every magician knows, timing is everything. Yes. And now it's time to get this party fired up. The night of the crime. Okay. That night, I visited the hospital room at the time Magnify requested. The smell of gunpowder hung in the room, and my mentor had taken his final bow. I did not imagine my fellow student might have received the same instructions. Yet a deal with the dead is a steal deal. Death's sweet kiss I gave to the clown. Then I informed the doctor and the police. So you were the one who reported the crime? Indeed. I would think this fact alone would clear my name of suspicion. Let's not jump to any conclusions. Yes, the cross-examination generally comes before the conclusions in this court. But if your testimony proves to be true, then the defendant, Zach Emery, is guilty. And if it wasn't Zach Emery, then the killer was you, Valent. And no disappearing act will get you out of that. Okay. Okay, skip this one.
Hold it!
There were two bullet holes in the scene, one in the victim and one in the clown. You're saying the one who shot the clown was you? No doubt my partner Zach had said as much. I said much the same thing. Yeah, because whoever didn't shoot the clown committed murder. I better dig around here a bit more and see what I turn up. Mr. Valent, let me ask you about something else concerning the crime scene, namely, the number of pistols. How many pistols were there when you entered the room? By which you mean what, precisely? 2 pistols were used in the Zach and Valent quick draw shoot-'em, correct? One for each of you. You are well informed, yet only one of my old friends sat in the hospital room that night. What did Zach tell me back in the lobby? Of course, I had no intention of shooting my mentor. I was talking to his roommate that night at an important time, and found there was upon his bedside table 2 pistols. I took the pistol I had fired and placed it in my pocket. I see no problem with that statement. Only one pistol was visible in a photograph of the crime scene after all. So you picked up that pistol and fired it? Indeed I did. Alakazam. Alakazane. Alakazing. Alakaboom. Is the number of pistols really so important? Quite important. The number of pistols is quite important, Your Honor. Very well. Please add this detail to your testimony. What can I do but obey? Only one pistol was in the hospital room that night. With it, I shot the clown.
Objection!
According to the defendant, Zach Emery, when he entered the room, there were 2 pistols on that table. 2? One of those pistols he used to shoot the clown in the forehead. Then he left with it in his pocket. Of course, this is what he would say. Unlike the hapless clown, we must assume our defendant has some brains in his head. Well, what about what Miss Valentine told us? You see, there's something about his testimony that doesn't make sense. What might that be? I told you, I took the pistol that was there and shot the clown. That's your story, at least. But the rifling marks tell a very different story, Mr. Valent. Recall what Prosecutor Gavin told us. We compared the bullet taken from the victim's skull with a bullet fired from this gun. The rifling marks on the bullets were a perfect match. Mr. Valent, if you fired this pistol, then you shot the victim in the forehead. Order, order, order! Well, this is all rather sudden.
Objection!
What have I done? Prosecutor Gavin? I owe the court an apology. Sorry. Sorry for what? You see, I was unaware that 2 of these unique pistols were crafted. The analysis of the rifling marks only proved to be the type of gun that fired them.
Objection!
But that's not what you told us before. You said you'd verified the murder weapon. Which is why I'm apologizing to you now. Quite sincerely, I might add. Will you hold me accountable for a mistake made in my youth? That was just this morning. Hang on. How old is this clown? Oh, he's 17, huh? Okay. I am still young, and I might add, it wasn't really my fault. If the defendant had only admitted that he took one pistol from the scene of the crime, we would not be having this pleasant discussion now. Felon's Grammary? Yes, Your Honor. You were presented into this court as a decisive witness. But you've proven to be no more decisive than... But you've proven to be more divisive than decisive.
Objection!
You'll see in time. The testimony so far has merely been a review of the facts. The proof comes next. Care to elaborate, Prosecutor Gavin? When Mr. Valiant entered the hospital room, the victim had already been shot. As his next testimony will prove, error right, the real fight is about to begin. Bring it. Very well. The witness will now testify to the court. Help us determine who shot the what. Alright. Who shot what? I arrived in the hospital room at the appointed time, which is to say 11:20 p.m. After discovering the body, I fulfilled my obligation, then called the doctor. The doctor examined the body before the police arrived. It was quite clear about the time of death, 11:10 p.m. And the one in the room at that time was my partner, not me. Those times are rather close, you have to admit. You're talking about an alibi established over a matter of minutes. To use a 10-minute discrepancy as the basis of your alibi, it's easy to explain in this situation, Air Judge. For example, take out the debut hit single, 13 Years Hard Time for Love. Cue to the song, press the play button, and it will play for 2 minutes, 15 seconds. You do it 100 times, the result is the same. Yikes, that's one short song. The debut single was only 2 minutes and 15 seconds long? What a ripoff. Magic is a world of utmost precision. Hocus pocus requires admirable focus. And in the time of death, determined by the doctor, there is an incontrovertible truth. Very well. The prosecution warns us that we are dealing with rather precise times, and we can expect the cross-examination to require the same level of precision. I would hope the defense refrains from its customarily broad, sweeping accusations, lest we blur the focus this case so clearly demands. Point taken. Baseless remarks will result in a penalty. Carry on, Mr. Wright. Carry on, Wright. Okay. Yeah, we can do that one. That's pointless. Okay. I don't think I'm stepping out on a limb to say I have some doubts about this. How could the doctor be so possessive at the time? We do usually only get an estimated time of death. True. I'm not sure I've heard of a verified time of death. Mental revels in making the complex appear simple, but reality is the opposite. What appears complex is, in this case, is a simple matter of subtraction. I see another person has done the arithmetic homework. The point here is the IV the victim was taking. It's quite visible in the photograph of the scene. Recall what we heard earlier about the victim, Magnified Gremory's schedule. Every night at 11, Magnified took an IV drip for 30 minutes. I can see the IV bag right there, yes? Now, look a little closer. Follow the tube down from the bag to the end. The needle has been removed. Doubtlessly, it fell out when he was shot. That would seem to be the case. When the needle comes out, and the IV no longer drips. You can just measure the Mimi IV liquid. Precisely. The IV liquid functions, for our purposes, as an hourglass of sorts. This is how the doctor determined the time of death. With the amount remaining in the bag, it was determined that the IV had stopped 10 minutes after administration began. IV report added to the court record. Approximately 10 minutes had passed since the IV began. And so it was, when I, Valiant, entered that room. 10 minutes had passed since the horrible crime was committed. And this is proof. Well, Mr. Wright? Does that seem important? I'd say very important. Well, seeing how it is the biggest clue we have to the time of death, I'd say it's very important. Agreed. It would be hard to imagine a more precise way to determine the time. Behold the power of arithmetic. Very well. The witness will add this to his... The witness will add this detail to his testimony. Sometimes the most magical thing of all is the truth. The water of life springs not eternal. The Mimi IV liquid proves my innocence.
Hold it!
Did you notice the IV yourself, by any chance? When first I entered that room, the stench of gunpowder assailed me. Next, the mark of death upon my mentor's forehead. And then, his left arm did I spy, a rose, drooping and wilted. Its thorn, the discarded IV needle. Knocked from the vein by the force of the shot, luckily for you. If that IV had not been there, why, you might be a suspect. Indubitably so. I might say it's thanks to my lucky color. Your lucky color? Indeed. Even today I wear it proudly upon my suspect self. For it always, without fail, brings me luck. Why, when Zack and Valiant won their first Magician's Grand Prix? Yes, the very one held by the Association of International Magicians. I was adorned in this attire then too. An old trophy, a bust. Oh, what a day that was. Just one trip down memory lane no one needs. My lucky color, yes indeed. And the IV too. I say, I think 'twas hued especially for me, Valiant. That does seem to be the case indeed. Well, Mr. Wright, any thoughts on this testimony? Valiant sure looks happy with himself. Okay, how about this lucky color testimony? Yeah, I see a problem. IV color is green, apparently, based on what I see here. That is a contradiction. It sounds like your lucky colors brought you plenty of luck. But not this time. Mr. Valiant, your lucky colors betrayed you. I'm afraid you've lost me. Your Honor, the witness's testimony just now clearly contradicts the evidence. What? Please recall my warning at the beginning of this cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Baseless accusations will be duly penalized. I do hope this latest accusation is well-based. Don't worry, I've got all your bases covered. Your bases right here. Very well. Let's hear the defense's claim. Where is your evidence that contradicts what Mr. Valiant has told us? And we claim for.
Take that!
The crime scene tells it all, Your Honor. The photo of the crime scene? All this talk of color has my union for black and white, clear-cut simplicity. Tell us, Wright, just where is the contradiction in this photo? My pleasure. And I assure you, it's quite simple. But I can't promise anything in black and white. Let's hear what Mr. Wright has to say. What in this photo contradicts the witness's testimony? Right there.
Take that!
Melon's Memory, let's get one thing straight about your lucky color. It's yellow, yes? Kind of takes the mystery out of it, but yes. Something wrong with yellow, Mr. Wright? Yes, there is. Decisively wrong, in fact. Taking a look at the photo of the crime scene. Whoops. What's this? Confusion, doubt. Tell us what your elderly eyes spy. Even my elderly eyes can see a problem here, Mr. Valance. Look at the IV bag. Ack! What is this? What? Frau Magic. It would be hard to call the IV liquid yellow, and I'm afraid no magic was involved in the taking of this photograph. Alika's, no! Order. What does this mean?
Objection!
This is some kind of mistake. Yes, Prosecutor Kevin. Your witness's mistake. The greener they are, the harder they fall. I suppose there's no substitute for experience. Montgomery, as you reminded us several times, your lucky color is yellow, but the IV is clearly not. Well, this contradiction can only mean only one thing.
Objection!
And to think, you almost had me. I see your true colors now, Ace Attorney Phoenix Wright. Something you'd like to tell us, Prosecutor Gavin? As far as this court can tell, the witness's testimony does contradict the evidence. Yes, a contradiction. One that I shall be pleased to hand right back to Mr. Wright. How do you mean? How? Because the witness has made no mistakes. I agree, at a glance, the IV liquid does appear to be a sort of greenish yellow. But I assure you, the liquid itself is quite yellow. Yellow liquid? How can you say that? As far as I can tell from this photo, it's green. Yeah, we all know what this is. See that? Yes, but what color is the IV bag itself? The bag? You mean the plastic bag and the hook? It looks like I want to say a light blue? Precisely. Figured it out yet? Put yellow liquid in a blue bag and you get green. This, incidentally, is the liquid's true color. I see. Your explanation does have a ring of truth to it. Yeah.
Objection!
As I thought, there's no substitute for experience, Prosecutor Gavin. What? You may tell a good tale, but you've disproven something rather grave. For you, that is. Grave? The liquid in the IV is yellow, yes. But how did this witness know that? It's quite unnatural when you think about it. You did think about it, didn't you? Your Honor, the defense requests an explanation from the witness. At the scene of the crime, the IV liquid appears to be green. So let me ask, how did the witness know the IV liquid was actually yellow? Alakazam! Order! Mr. Wright, you will explain this at once. The witness clearly knew the color of the IV liquid, so I'm sure it means something, but what? I can think of only one possibility, Your Honor. The witness, Felon Memory, has testified that the IV liquid was yellow because He'd seen it before, I think. I believe both of these options would work. From the facts before us, the answer is clear. The witness knew that the IV liquid was yellow. Why? Because he'd seen it before. Not inside the blue bag we see in the photo. He saw the liquid by itself, in a clear, colorless bag. I suppose he would have had to, but I'm still not clear as to what all this means. Ask yourself, why would he know if he didn't work at a hospital? That's where you'll find your meaning, Your Honor.
Objection!
I'm afraid I find nothing. So what if he knew the IV liquid's color? Leave the getting excited over absolutely nothing to our teeny bopper fans, yeah?
Objection!
The IV liquid is only evidence proving on time of death. A 30-minute hourglass with 20 minutes worth of sand remaining. The claim, Prosecutor Gavin. I remember it well. However, there is a critical difference between an hourglass and an IV bag. Wait, I know. An hourglass uses sand, but an IV bag uses liquid. I'm right, right? As much as it pains me to say this, Your Honor, no. Unlike the sands through an hourglass, IV liquid enters the patient's body. At which point, like magic, it disappears. However, what if the amount of IV liquid had increased? You couldn't tell, could you? After all, there's no way of knowing how much went in.
Objection!
Let me get this straight, Wright. You're saying that the witness watered down the victim's IV bag? Not with water, but with IV liquid. That's how you knew the IV liquid was yellow. Now wait. I said wait. I'm not an amateur such as myself. I say to perform such a task.
Objection!
I'm an amateur too, but I can pour water into a cup.
Objection!
I'm afraid there's quite a big difference between a cup and an IV bag. Quite. Can you prove your witness is capable of such a feat? Here's a point, amateurs. I, at least, would have some difficulty pouring IV liquid into that bag. You don't need an expert to see the look on the witness's face. He added liquid to that IV to throw off the time of death. I'm tired of these fairy tales lacking evidence. No, Mr. Wright? Any solid evidence to bring us back down to earth? Balanced memory. I'm afraid your magic won't serve you well in a life of crime. Might I ask what you're strongly suggesting? Magic relies on props, and props become evidence. Let's see here. It's only after half an hour. Okay. I think I'm going to keep going. Our witness was certainly able to increase the amount of IV liquid in the bag. All he had to do was work a little magic, and the prop was the syringe.
Take that!
The victim's syringe is the perfect prop for the magically increasing IV trick, and easy enough for an amateur to use.
Objection!
What kind of evidence is that? The syringe was clean, not a piece of liquid in it.
Objection!
And don't you find that odd, Prosecutor Gavin? What? The victim had the syringe to administer his insulin shots. There should have been traces of insulin left inside. Well, Montgomery, as you pointed out yourself, the IV liquid makes the perfect clock. One that you could manipulate at will. Alakazam! I do believe, well, with this being his first, but the burden of this trial has been a bit too much to bear for Prosecutor Gavin. I'm afraid that, while there is a doubt as to the amount of IV liquid in that bag, the time of death cannot be proven, and that brings our trial to a close for today. Well, maybe I can squeeze an extra day out of this. I can do a little much-needed investigation work. I see there are no objections.
Objection!
Truly, there's no substitute for experience. Nothing blinds one to the truth so effectively. A word to the wise. Underestimate the young, and they'll sweep your feet out from under you, in a way you never ever expected. You see, I know exactly what you're thinking. What's he talking about? You say the witness used the syringe to manipulate the level of the IV liquid. But there's no proof. There's no proof he didn't do it either. Yes, quite true. Huh? He's admitting it? Nor is this witness quite as decisive as I'd hoped. This I admit. After all, why linger in the past when the future holds so much? You have something in mind, Prosecutor Gavin? Proof, Air Judge. I have another way to prove my case. With evidence, no less. What's this? This is the victim, Magnified Gramarie's diary. Diary? After going to the hospital, Magnified began writing his memoirs, it seems. The story of his birth, his startling debut, and of meeting his disciples. Okay, give me 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. Okay, guys. I'm not gonna end the video here because there's so little left in this portion of the case. I'm gonna keep going until we reach the very end of this portion. There's not much left, so even though it's already almost 40 minutes, I'm gonna just keep going. Even though it's already past midnight on Tuesday, the 23rd of September, I'm gonna keep going. The story of his birth, his startling debut, and of meeting his disciples. It seems he's intended for the last chapter to end, quite appropriately, with his death. Wait, that book doesn't say what the reason was, does it? The reason why his disciples couldn't refuse his last request? Sadly, it does not. What's important here is on the last page. Apparently, the victim wrote in his journal that night, even after the IV had begun at 11 p.m. Let's read it, shall we? Tonight's IV is in. Maybe the last. I'll leave the rest to them. The first should come soon. This journal may end here, or it may go on. But not for long. But not long. That depends on his hand. All that is left to mine is to lay down this pen. I mean, that's what it says. This does appear to have been written just before his death. Also, there's a page missing here. Pardon me, I had to pause or mute my microphone for a second. I thought I felt a sneeze coming on, but it didn't come. This does appear to have been written just before his death. The court accepts this into evidence. Magnified's diary added to the court record. A memoir of sorts, written up to just before he died. Read the very last part with particular care. This journal may end here, or it may go on, but not long. That depends on his hand. Of course, by his, he refers to our defendant, Zach Grimmery. That would make sense, yes. He was the first scheduled visitor, after all. But look at what he said before that. This journal may end here, or it may go on. It may go on. Magnified Grimmery intended to write again. That is, if Zach Grimmery didn't pull the trigger. I see that the defense understands the meaning of this. Hang on. Let me look at this real quick. Does this match the book? This is the last page. The diary ends here. Huh? What's this? It looks like a page was ripped out. Oh, now, isn't that interesting? I see that the defense understands the meaning of this. The victim's diary does not go on. It ends. Because Mendify's life was brought to the end by the defendant, Zach Gremory. Order, order, order. Prosecutor Gavin, are you certain that Mendify Gremory wrote this? There was no mistaking this handwriting. Well, this does seem to be significant. According to this, Mendify did intend to continue his diary. Yet, if this diary ended here, which plainly it did, and the one who pulled the trigger was the first visitor, Zach Gremory. Well, how do you like me now, Wright? Hello, you Toby Keith? Still too green for your tastes, He's right about the diary being pretty clear. Still, I find it hard to believe that he'd overlook such an obvious problem with his precious evidence. Well, Mr. Wright, the witness's testimony we had heard was lacking. When put together with this evidence, it seems quite sufficient for a case. If the diary is accepted like this, the trial is over. Maybe it's time for me to show them something. I believe this is what we have to do now. I'm left with no choice but to show my own evidence. What? You have some evidence that overturns this diary? It's not too late to rethink this and avoid more embarrassment. Very well. Please show us your evidence, Mr. Wright. Incidentally, don't even think of showing this diary after this shown the court. Now that we've come to this far, I hope you have something a little more decisive. Show us evidence that proves the victim continued writing his diary. Alright, I'd be happy to. The decisive evidence proving that the diary didn't end with this page is... Even though we all know what's going to happen, we have no choice.
Take that!
First, take a close look at this diary. Note that the page has clearly been ripped out. What's this? I hadn't noticed that at all. That's why we're still here talking about this. As it just so happens, I have here what I believe to be the missing page. I don't believe it. Looking at this page, it's hard to imagine that the first visitor that night shot Mendify Gremory. That's the defendant's position. Wait, let me see that. When, Sam Hill? Why, this is the continuation of the victim's diary. Note the torn edge of the page. It's a perfect match with the torn remains of the last page in Mendify's diary. Quite remarkable. Would you care to explain what all this means, Heir Attorney? The diary continued after his first visitor came, which means that the victim was still alive after Zach Gremory left, leaving no one to take his life but the second visitor. Montgomery. No. No! The handwriting, too, matches that on the other pages. This is, without a doubt, the genuine article. Order. But wait. That's impossible. The old man couldn't have written that.
Objection!
Finally. You just couldn't resist, could you, Wright? Resist what? Presenting solid evidence? Judge? Yes, Prosecutor Kevin? My request we put the current cross-examination on hold. The prosecution would like to call a new witness. But, Prosecutor Gavin, this evidence overturns the current witnesses. I ask only to put it on hold. Please, my new witness has a very, very important piece of testimony to give. 5 minutes, no more. I promise, Your Honor. Well, if you put it that way. Mr. Wright, what's your take on this? Well, Your Honor, judging from his enthusiasm, we'll have to hear this new testimony sooner or later anyway. So it might as well be sooner. Then, though this is highly irregular, we will put the current cross-examination on hold. The witness may step down. Now, Prosecutor Gavin, please bring this surprise witness to the courtroom. I had a bad feeling just then. That ripped out page was too obvious. He must have known. And I should have known it was a bad sign all around. Whoa. Holding trial with no audience is a first, even for me, Prosecutor Gavin. I beg the court's understanding. But I had to make a judiciary deal with the witness to secure his testimony. A judiciary deal? The details of his testimony may have some legal ramifications, shall we say. I thought it best to contain information to this room. Very well. And you are the witness, I gather? Ah, yes, sir. Well, he looks very familiar, doesn't he? State your name and occupation for the record. My name is Drew Misham. I'm a painter. A painter? And you are somehow related to this case? No, well, not per se. I have one simple question for this witness. Mr. Misham, was it? Do you know what this is? Oh, yeah. I know it well. How is that possible? Have you seen this diary page somewhere before? Oh, yeah. I mean, I made it. You... what? You made it? Yes. You might call it one of my works. The prosecutor's office received a tip-off yesterday. Illegal evidence has been prepared for the trial of Zach Emery. Illegal evidence? I initiated an investigation and found this witness. A painter to the world at large, Drew Misham has another side, you might say. He is skilled in making perfect reproductions of certain things. Forgeries, in other words. Forgeries? Well, so we are to understand that this page here is a fake, prepared by a certain defense attorney.
Objection!
Hold it. I didn't prepare this evidence.
Objection!
Attorney speaks. Something about this page, I presume? But what is he saying? It makes no sense. After all, it was you who presented us this evidence to us Phoenix Wright? Witness, Mr. Misham, was it? Who requested this forgery? Who was your client? That, I don't know. What? Most of my clients prefer to remain anonymous, even to me. I make the items they want and receive my payment. That's the extent of my contact with them.
Objection!
But there was no proof this is a fake. It's a fake. Huh? To avoid just this sort of problem, I always put a special mark on my works. I can say without a doubt, this is mine. Mr. Wright, you have just presented illegal evidence to this court. My court. It was careless of me. That's all I can say. Oh boy. Here. What's this? I don't know. I just got over there in the hall. They told me to give it to the old boy in the blue suit with the spiky hair. They said it was really important. It was all a trap. A fatal trap. Mr. Wright? Yes? Do you have an explanation for yourself? If I did, would the court hear it? Probably not. Forging evidence is a serious crime, and presenting it in court, a serious mistake. A fatal mistake for an attorney. Fatal too, perhaps, for your client, I fear. Tell me, what kind of defendant relies on forged evidence? The answer is quite clear. A guilty one.
Objection!
Your Honor, wait. I understand that presenting forged evidence in the court is a serious crime. But you cannot hold my client responsible for actions I undertook as an individual. I am sorry, Mr. Wright. Your Honor? Under the close call, I dare say, and the prosecutor's office hadn't received that hot tip, everything would have gone the way you wanted it to, yeah? I even gave you a chance. Too bad you decided not to think before embarrassing yourself. I see no need for further discussion on this matter. Special witness dismissed. Mr. Attorney? Yes? Could I ask your name? Phoenix Wright. Mr. Wright. I have seen and studied many people, but none like you. I'll remember you, Mr. Wright. Though I deeply regret having to declare a verdict in this way, this trial is over. You have the right to find a new attorney and make an appeal. However, this court must... Your Honor? Yes, Mr. Zack? There is one thing I wish to make clear. Today, in this courtroom, you cannot declare me guilty. It is impossible. I'm afraid the defendant is quite mistaken. I most certainly have the authority to declare a verdict on you. Except, tell me, how do you plan on announcing your verdict when your defendant does not exist? Doesn't exist? What are you talking about? I am talking about this. Mr. Engelmar. The defendant escaped. Find him. Quick. Free the close all exits from the building. On the double. You must not be allowed to escape. That day, in that courtroom, a miracle occurred. The defendant, Shitty Ignamar, aka Zack Gregory, did not just escape from court. He literally, unbelievably, vanished. Right before the bailiff's eyes. No one ever saw him again, not since that day. This is the Gregory miracle. Ha 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 ha. No verdict was declared. After all, the defendant didn't exist. that's how it happened. The child magician Zach Gregory vanished, along with him, for all eternity. The mysteries that we made behind were all solved, however, but not until 7 years later. To be continued. Alright. And that, my friends, is where we will end this video. And next time, we shall continue with the Mason system, whatever that is. So until then, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, go ahead and hit that like button, and I will see you all next time. So until then, take care and have a great day.